Imagine people are still coming in. Yeah, let's see. I am not seeing. Are people still popping in, or should I just get going?
We just got a couple, but I
Okay,
think we should start.
okay, all right. Hi, day two. Uh, Thanks for coming back for more. If you were here yesterday, and yeah, sorry we don't have the recording from yesterday available yet, but we're working on that, and we'll get that going as soon as possible. We're going to switch gears today into we're going to work on a slip jig. So we're going to talk a little bit about slip jigs first. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to just sort of set your palette for what you might be listening for as we do a slip jig. Um, they are the squirreliest, loveliest I'm very fond of slip jigs, but until you understand their way, they can be very confusing. It's hard to hear where the one is unless you know where to look for it. And then once you know where to look for it, it's unavoidable. So basically, they're in three clusters of three. So jigs, the whole jig family, everything's in clusters of three. So there's a bunch of different types of jigs. There's double jigs and single jigs and slip jigs and hop jigs and slides are a type of jig as well. And the they're all built around these little clusters of three that are articulated and voiced in different ways depending on which type of jig you're in. So in a regular jig, also known as a double jig, it's two clusters of three, makes the sort of rhythmic melodic structure. Da-ka-dee, doo-ka-da, da-ka-da, doo-dee, da-dee, doo-dee, da-dee, da. So two clusters of three. In slip jigs, we've got three of them. So we have this sort of nine patch kind of feeling to it, right? We're going one, two, three, two, two, three, three, two, three, one, two, three, two, two, three, three, two, three, deedly deedly dum, diddly deedly dum, right? So, um, and because of their unevenness, right? The three groups of three, they're always like whoop, they're flipping you back around into the next part or into the next round of the tune. They don't square off often. They usually are just propelling you around the corner and there's no exit in sight. You just have to keep playing them or go into another tune or whatever. So, yeah. So with I'll use the term sometimes, and I understand Blake used it yesterday. A little birdie told me. I'll use the term jiglet for that cluster of three, just because it's a handy concept. So we're going to talk about jiglets and how they get stressed. So what I'm going to do first is just play it for you. I'm not going to put the dots up on the screen yet. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, do you know how to find the dots in the recordings if you don't already?
What a good question. I will just post that link again.
Yeah, Denise is going to put it in the chat, so you can always download this stuff later. Yeah, so I'll share the dots when we line by line it, but I'm just going to play it first and see if you can feel that structure. Dooka dee doo dee dum, ducka doo doo da doo da dum. Okay, this tune is called "The Cock and the Hen," and because somebody yesterday asked a little bit about the history, I did a little research this morning, so I'm prepared for you today. So I've learned some things about this tune this morning. I was actually quite excited, but first I'm gonna play it. Okay. This version of it, though it occurs in many keys, the most commonly played, the way it's most commonly played is in A slash F sharp minor. So F sharp minor is simply the relative minor of the key of A. So it's basically an A, but it starts on this beautiful F sharp. So it's unusual in that it starts on the minor, then it brightens to the major on the second part. So if you're thinking, oh, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. So you notice we have to come back around to the one to get out of it. It doesn't just end da dee da dee da 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 da. Dum. You gotta get back around to the one. That's very typical of slip jigs. Right. Let me tune my A string a little bit. Sorry about that. So let's let's go ahead and learn it. And are there questions about the scale that we're using on this tune? It's kind of an interesting
No,
tune in
no
that.
questions at all so far.
Okay, great. So, as I say, it's in A, but if you see it written, it's usually just written with two sharps, which kind of looks like D, because it never articulates the third sharp in the key of A. It doesn't articulate a G at all. And that's very common in A tunes and Irish music because a lot of instruments don't play G sharps, the pipes, the flutes. It's an awkward note on many instruments. So these tunes evolve hand in hand with the instruments on which they're played. So for an A tune to not have a G or a G sharp is very, very common. So, and this is one of those. So the scale here is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. I don't think it goes above the F sharp. It goes down here below. Its lowest note is the E there, I think. And it doesn't go above the high F sharp. So just an octave and a note, really. Very, very simple, very easy to play. Might be a clue that it's an old tune. It turns out it is quite an old tune. So I'm going to share the dots. Let's line by line it. Give me just a second to pull that up. Which app am I sharing? It's that one. All right. Can everybody see that? Okay. And if you want to see more dots and less of me, you can slide that bigger, or there should be some point at which you can pull a lever to.
Yeah, the screen is split. There's a little white lozenge between Marla's face and the dots. If you switch to the speaker by side-by-side view, which you can do in the upper right-hand corner of your page if you're on a computer, side-by-side speaker is the one you want.
Yeah. And for those of you who are readers, I'm just going to talk about how jigs are represented on the page a little bit, because I think it's kind of useful to see. You'll either see, can you see my cursor? I believe you can. You'll either see clusters of eighth notes. See, each one of these is a jiglet, right? So there's the 3 jiglets in the measure. Or you'll see these quarter eighth combinations. Quarter eighth, that's a jiglet. 1, 2, 3, 3/8, quarter eighths, right? So you can treat any quarter eighth combination as 3/8 notes, right? And I'm going to talk about why you want to do that a little bit later. So, but I'm saying it now so that you don't sweat over whether I go or whether I really articulate that as a quarter eighth. I can fill them in, and we're going to fill them in sometimes as variations, and sometimes we're going to pull out the middle note of the jiglet as a way to create a variation as well. So yeah. Okay, that said, our first phrase, for those of you on fiddles, mandolins, and banjos, any of these stringed ones, has a little bit of awkwardness to it because we're going from an F sharp to a C sharp, and they're on the same fret on neighboring strings on all those instruments. It's not as big of a problem for fiddles. They're able to place their fingers in a way that allows you to play both notes at the same time. For us, we have to either rock or flatten. I'm flattening my last knuckle here to create a little bar. I can just flatten that to get my C sharp. But anyway, And then we have a few ways of getting around that. But I'm going to teach it as written right here. Nothing sacred about how it's written on this page. I'm just going to use that as a reference. So our first phrase. Notice it skips that. There's no G or G sharp there, right? F sharp, da da da, C sharp. So that opening phrase, our theme phrase, that dum ba da 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 dum, answer, question, and a big answer. Right? That last measure or that ending phrase from the opening. That phrase again from the E. Right? That's the whole first part is what I've just played. Slip jigs, because of their long melodic measure of the 9 notes in the phrase, you've got a short part structure. You've only got 4 bars in a part. So they're quick to learn. So let's take that whole A part. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2. And repeat it. So that's twice through. That's how much you're going to get before it goes to the B part. Let's do that a few times, and I'm going to pause at the end of each cluster of 2, so you know what that feels like when you're done with the A part. Again now, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Now, before I play it a second time, that A part, I'm going to speak to the plectrum players, the mandolins and banjos, for just a moment. And our picking is going to echo the jiglet structure. And each jiglet is a down, up, down. So we're going to be going down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. Now, when we have a quarter note, we're going to keep that pick moving in our jiglet structure, right? And you can just play it. You can just play it as 2/8 notes till you get used to doing that. So let's play that whole thing again, adding that little element. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Any questions on the A part?
We did have somebody who thought that the tune sounded like it was in F sharp minor rather than A major.
Well, this part it's basically F sharp minor is the relative minor of A. It's you'll see when we get to the B part, it brightens up to A. So it goes between the major and its relative minor, A major and its relative minor. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Very common in Irish music. Yeah. All right.
I don't see any
Let's go.
questions otherwise.
Okay, great. Let's go to the B part. So now, yes, dia, we're going to brighten up to A. We're going to start on that lovely E. And our first phrase, once again, we have a question and an answer, and then a question and another answer. The question for the B part is, all right, that's our first phrase. And now that's our first answer. So our first couple of bars, and then we ask the question again. And the second answer is very, very much like the ending on the first part, but the first jiglet's a little different. First one is on the B part, it's right, which follows melodically. Let's put all those four phrases together. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Got to pop right back around, right? So that was 2 times through the B part. Let's do that a few times. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. And you're ready to go back to your beautiful F sharp first note of the minor part.
We have a fingering question, Marla.
Yes.
Laura wants to know, if you rock onto the C sharp with finger 2, do you use finger 4 to hit the high D? It feels tight to use the third finger. I just watched you and you were using your third.
For this D?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that only happens in the on the A part.
No, this is a B question, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, here.
There you go.
It pops to the E, so you don't need to rock at all. So I'm just using standard fingering. There is a need to rock in the A part, which I do this way. I either flatten or I can rock. I don't rock, I flatten. I do a mini bar, if you will. And then I use my ring finger for that D. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think you did. I play this tune with just, 3 fingers also. I don't use my fourth finger much.
Yeah, there's no need to go out of position on this one, I would say. On the tenor banjo, however, you might, I don't know if the question came from a banjo player. You might be playing in 4-finger position on the banjo, using your pinky on the 5th fret.
Or,
Some
or
banjo
tenor
players,
guitar. It's possible.
Or tenor guitar, exactly.
Yeah.
You might be using this fingering. Something like that. But on a mandolin or fiddle, you're more open, and standard position would be middle finger on that F sharp and that C sharp.
Yep. Okay, Tim
Ring finger.
Broderick wants to talk about picking. He says for the jig picking, if you have two Fs in a row, are those both downstrokes?
It just depends where they fall rhythmically. So, those two Fs at the beginning of the measure? Yes. If it's a quarter eighth combination, absolutely. That would be down, silent up, down, or not quite silent up. Did you hear my upstroke just brush my A string a little bit? And the reason for that, and it's big. This is not just, I'm not being arbitrary. I'm remember we talked yesterday about every melody player creating pulse in their playing, and the way for us plectrum players to do that is with our picking pattern. And it's not an intellectual pattern, it's a pulse creation pattern, so it's engaging your body in the making of the rhythm. And the stress that we're after is bum 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 ba, down 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 down. All our downstrokes are stressed beats, so the stress pattern is 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1, right? So I'm not counting 1 3 4 6 7 9. That's way beyond my ability to do that. I just think of these sets of three, and each set of three has a stress on the one and another stress on the three. So those are your downstrokes.
Let me make sure that Amy was able to see you eventually. Your name was in front of your hand for a minute there when you were picking. So I
Oh,
just want to be sure that Amy got to see that picking really clearly. And then, there you go.
yeah. Now
That's,
that, sorry.
I was going to say that's how you get the rolling wave sound. Yep.
Yeah. So that style of picking, if you've not done that, if you've not done, it's usually called jig picking before, it can be difficult at first. And we talked a little bit about exercises yesterday. I do have a series of picking exercises to help develop the ability to get that pulse creation, your jig picking hand going separate from your cerebral cortex. So it just becomes a physical thing that you're able to do. It's like tapping your foot while you play, or all sorts of other things we are able to do, like talking and driving, right? We're able to drive without conscious, I have to think to put my foot on the gas or the brake, and when you can't, it's time to stop driving. But but anyway, yeah. So I can share those jig exercises afterwards. I'm making myself a note.
Good. And Kathy wants to know why use the pinky on the high E instead of the open E string?
I didn't use the pinky. I used the open E. Did it
Yeah.
look like I used my pinky? Yeah.
I thought you said use the pinky.
Oh, no, no, no,
Oh, I
no. I'm not.
misunderstood.
Oh, I said if you are playing a tenor banjo or a tenor guitar and you're
Oh,
playing
okay.
closed four finger position, your pinky goes on the fifth fret. Um, I'm all for the open E.
Okay.
The open strings are what give us a bright, brilliant
Yeah.
sound here. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Good, good, good. Um, yeah. Any other questions for the
Nope,
moment?
that's it right now.
Okay, let's put our A and B parts together and play the tune. And then we will play with the tune. Yeah. Okay. Can you see me okay? Okay.
You look good.
Thank you. So do you. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. B part. All right. I am going to make the dots go away. There.
I was just thinking when we were doing that it was really helpful to me when I was learning jig picking when you said that you go ahead and pick all the note, all of the beats, even if you're actually looking at a note that you're supposed to not pick until you get a feel for the humpiness
Yep.
of it.
Yep. 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 Super helpful to do that. Yeah. So quarter eighth combination, play it as 3/8 notes. Ta-ka-ta. Da be da dum be dee da be da ba ba dee bum ba dee ba ba da. It'll keep you steady. Later on, it's just a matter of finesse to hit that uh, um, middle note that is that you're articulating, to articulate it less and eventually just miss that string altogether, if you want to. Yeah. Do I have a set that I play that includes this tune? Probably. Um, let's come back to that at the end. I want to talk about some ways to bring some variation into your jigs. The a question that hasn't come up yet, so I'm going to preempt it, is it okay to play those quarter eighth combinations as down up? Because some people will go daka da daka dee daka dee da dee daka dee daka dee da dee. And I advise against that. There are people who play that way. I recommend you just keep that your pulse creator going. You keep that jig picking going in the jig rhythm. So those come out down, down instead of down, up. It's less efficient, but it's more rhythmic. And it gives you the added ability to use that middle note as of to add variation into your playing. So, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here in this next little bit. So I'm going to pick a little spot in the tune to play with. There's so many nice parts to play with. The let's see. So one of the things that I will often do, and this is a form of filling in the middle note, that dum da 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 dum. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 dum. Um, if I get lazy and go just do. I let myself use the open A to get to that C sharp, so I didn't have to bar it or rock it or anything, right? So I'll use it the second time quite a bit. Bar the first time because that double stop is beautiful. That F sharp, C sharp from the F sharp minor chord. But here, right? Dumpa da da dee. So I'm using all my picks in the jiglet there for that little variation. It's just a very small variation. But the place I want to pick, before I pick that place, I want to talk about that. So our F sharp minor chord is F sharp, A, C sharp. So every time I'm hitting that F sharp, I can let my A ring, and it's quite beautiful with it. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm not planning my double stops as much as I'm letting my downstrokes hit both my D and A strings. And come what may, see what happens when I do that. And if I don't like it, don't do it the next time. It's very, very easy to correct. It's just a moment in time. That's the beautiful thing about music, is that it is temporal. And if you didn't like the way you just played it, there's a repeat coming and you can do it differently. So, right? So I'm just going with my picking. I'm hitting both my D and A strings and letting the chips fall where they will. You get that beautiful. I'm also hammering that on. So I'm being just a little late. One thing that hammer-ons do in your playing is it makes your target note just a little bit behind, right? Because when you hit your rhythm maker, you're still on the leading tone. Da, da, right? So it keeps you from sounding like you're going da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. Gives that little scoop into the note. It's a very useful technique for that. Right? Here's the note I'm going to pick. So in the B part, we've got this lovely land on that D, which is about to take us around to the ending. I'm going to look at that little spot. I'm going to go da 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 da. So at the very least, I'm sculpting its attack by doing a hammer-on. Now that's a technique that may not be called a hammer-on on other instruments, but they're everywhere in the music, right? Where you start on a leading tone and then get to your target note. So a hammer-on and a hold. So the next time I come around to that, I might want to do it a little different. So I've got a bunch of little things in my toolbox that I might want to use. I have things I call overs and unders. So an over, I take my jiglet. Remember, this note covers the full jiglet. Dum. So I'm going to go put the middle note of the jiglet on the scale note over. Right? Da-dee-dum. Now I'm going to try it on the scale note under for what I call an under. Right? da 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 dee 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 da. Right? So they're just the little bits that jigs are made of, right? If you're playing around inside this jiglet, you're going to be safe. You're not varying too far, and you're using all your fingering habits from things that jigs do anyway. They do little overs and unders. I'm sure we can find them elsewhere in the tune. So let's see. Let's do an under again. Is everybody clear of where I'm playing? I'm playing with the last two measures of the B part, right? If that's confusing. So yeah, so another treatment. So we did a sculpted attack and a hold, an over, an under. Now here's a technique I call stops. So it's you could also call it a flute breath. So what this is that you're going to clip the note and leave a space. So sorry. So the note is clipped. The technique on this instrument is to let go of the stress on the, of the pressure on the string so that it stops ringing. Normally we want it to ring, but if we go, we're gonna create a little breath, a little lift in the music. That time I gave it 2 beats after the stop, right? Da, da, 2, 3, da, dee, dee. But more often I'll just give it 1. Oh, sorry, you can't see my hands. I apologize. Now you see, I haven't stopped picking just because I've stopped the ring. The string is muted. Right? My little up pick, it doesn't make any sound. It just makes a little percussiveness. Right? So, hammer on and hold, overs, unders, stops, thirds. What about thirds? See what I did there? I just popped a third up. Instead of an over, a third up or a third down. Let's see what a third down feels like. Right? So these are just handy fingering habits. You do them all the time in your tune playing and just use them to create little tiny variations, because this is what creates that heterophony that we were talking about yesterday, right? So overs, unders, stops, thirds, delays. So this is another thing I like to do a lot. Those of you who are familiar with my playing. Very common technique. Once again, it's not just me. This is a very common technique across all instruments. I don't know what other people call them. I call them delays. And what that is I'll hang on the leading tone for a full eighth note. I'll get to the note, the target note, a whole eighth note late. So different from a hammer on. A hammer on is just da, da, somewhere you're just a little bit late. A delay will be a da, da, doo, lum. I won't get to the target note until the unstressed beat that follows it. I'll show you what I mean. Yamba doodlum. So you hear it's just the stress pattern stays the same because your rhythm maker is doing the rhythm, but the note is gonna pull up behind. Questions on any of those tricks so far? Not tricks.
Not so
Tools.
far. People are just watching.
Okay. So another tool for the toolkit is triplets. So we can bring in triplets independently or on top of any of those variations. So I'll show you what I mean by that. In jigs, triplets can fall on the first beat of the jig and on the second beat of the jiglet, I should say, not the of the little set of three of the jigs. So if I'm going tuck-a-tee da tee tee da tee tee da tee tee, and I put a triplet on the one, it covers the one and the two, and I get tie tee tee tumpa tee tickety da 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 dee tickety da da dee da tickety. It's right on my stressed one, right? So what that sounds like I have to put it in that spot, right? It's not exactly how I would play it, but so what I did, because it just didn't sound right if I didn't do it, is I put it on top of a delay. Da dee da, tucka dee da, doo dum, right? Right. So the
I need you
other,
to click your screen because you've got,
oh, I can get rid of that? Okay.
yeah.
There it goes. So at the same place, and it sounds less awkward to me, this is not a great place to illustrate this triplet. I'll put them somewhere else, but to follow through this thought, the other rhythmic spot for the triplet in the jiglet is over the two, bum ba da da, instead of taka ta dum tickle dum tickety dum tickety dum, 1 2 3 1 2 and 3 1 2 3, right? And that one, just on a technical level for plectrum players, I execute on an upstroke, because I'm doing an upstroke on that too anyway. But what it sounds like here in that spot not articulating it all that well. Now I'm gonna show you better places for them, but where I am gonna put them, the other thing, sorry, mouth, brain, they don't always work together. You can put them on top of these different kinds of ornaments. So like, let's look at that under, right? If I put a triplet on top of that, I get right? I'm not changing anything about my fingering hand. I'm just changing the articulator. Tum takata. We talked about this yesterday a little bit, where the note maker is over here. Da da da. The articulator is tum tickety or tickety dum, tickety dum. If I put it on the one, right? So it's a little artificial to take one little spot in the tune and try out all the techniques, because they don't always all work. But if I went through the tune, I'd be using most of these techniques somewhere. So let me find a more natural place for some of these things.
You have 15 minutes left, my dear.
Okay. So here's, I think, a perfectly natural stop is in the first part of the B part, that what I call the stop or flute breath. Totally natural way to articulate that phrase, right? Over that time. I just carried straight through. Da da dum. I filled it in. I filled in that dum dum. I went da da da. I just played the middle note as though I was continuing on. Okay, I'm gonna break for questions for a minute because I tossed a bunch of stuff at you.
But we have no questions.
No questions.
No questions.
Okay then. I'll tell you what I found out about the history of this tune to rest our learning brains for a minute. It appears as in a collection as early as 1785, and it's a collection written by John Sutherland of Aberdeenshire, or I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that if you actually speak with a Scottish accent, but he was a player of the small pipes, or a version of the pipes that evolved into the small pipes. So when you hear that, it's like, yeah, that small range makes a lot of sense because the pipes have pretty much an octave and a note is the typical range of the pipes of the Scottish pipes, the Highland pipes, the small pipes. They have a very limited range. So that kind of rings true. It was written in not in A F sharp minor in that collection. It was written in B minor and D. Let me get that off the screen. Yeah, it doesn't do anything if I click on it. I'm not sure. There we go. So it appeared in D B minor rather than A F sharp minor. It was in three Irish collections in the 1883, the Ryan's Mammoth collection, also in B minor. Joyce, 1909, in A minor C, and the Roche collection in 1912. And I forgot to write down what key it was in the Roche collection. But my suspicion is that when Josephine Marsh recorded it in 1996, she put it in F sharp minor, and that caught on like wildfire. We all wanted to play like Josephine Marsh, who's from Clare. She's a beautiful accordion player. So I found multiple recordings of it in F sharp minor following her recording, but hers was the first. So that's how I think it got there. But if you go to the session and to other sources, you'll find it as often in B minor as you will in F sharp minor. And
That's
a recording by Kulrua, they play it in both. They they can't decide, so they just play both. Yeah.
you have a couple questions now.
Okay.
Wide
Wait, let me just
ranging.
tell you one other fun little tidbit.
Good.
It's also in The Northern Fiddler, which was published in 1979, collected from 1977 to 79, and in that collection, it's called Doodly Doodly Dank. Doot doodly doodly dank,
Yeah.
doodly doodly diddly dood.
Actually, it sounds a bit different in
I
the
know it is
Northern
different.
Fiddler.
It's a different version. It's like a northern
Yeah,
version.
it
Totally.
is. It's very
Yes.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's that dut did it. It's like it's the note is one note higher, which is yeah, and it's also instead of do doodle, it's in a different key, but instead of going there, it goes.
Yeah.
And a lot of the versions, in the older versions, did that. So I don't know when that changed as well, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, so
yeah.
Beth Zeekley's just put a recording of it that she and Mickey did
I
in
saw
the
that they had
chat.
recorded it.
All right,
Nice.
so let's go through these
What?
questions.
I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Are they in F sharp minor? Can she answer that question?
I don't think so. I think I
Yeah.
might be in B minor, but it's been
It's
so long.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Nice
So
iris.
yeah. The Northern Fiddler one is in B minor D, the Donegal version also. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so somebody wants you to demo a triplet starting with the upstroke.
Okay.
Slowly.
Slowly. Triplets slowly. So let me just say one thing about triplets is that they exist on momentum. So a triplet slowly is physically different from a triplet in context, but I will show you the pick direction slowly so you can get the feel of it. So you're going along down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So when I do it slowly like that, it's 3 separate strokes. When I do it in context, it's like a action and reaction, if you will. So, just so you know that if you're struggling over triplets, counterintuitively, sometimes the solution is to do them faster and put a little energy into the start.
Yeah, there's
Did I
also
answer the
you
question
did
there?
I think so. You also pinch the pick just a little bit to change the angle a little bit.
Just a little. I give it a little oomph.
Yeah.
This is a total exaggeration of what I do, but I give a little thumb pressure.
Okay, related question. So are triplets 16th notes or are they 32nd notes? This person feels like they're playing them more slowly than you are.
Oh, they're 16th notes. So basically, a a, a triplet takes two eighth notes, and the first of the 2/8 notes is turns it into 2/16 notes. So it's like tiki da. The last note is still the eighth note that was there anyway. Tiki ta or chickadee. Does that help? Yes, Kathy.
I think you noted at one point that you start, if you're doing it on the second beat of a jiglet, you would start with an upstroke on a triplet.
That's correct.
Can you demonstrate that,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
Thank you. Slowly.
Yes. So here's my down, up, down. Dum, ducka, da, dum. Now, there are people who will place their triplets in that place in the music, but start them on a down, in which case it comes out, which is heavier. It's a little heavier and it's a lot more down, which makes it heavier. So if you can try it on the up. If you've never done a triplet starting on an upstroke, it may sound radical, but try it. It's actually not as hard as you think.
Okay, we have somebody who wants to talk about the thirds, up a third, down a third, just a tiny
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah. Let's see. There's one right there. Instead of dum da 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 da, I went da dee da dee da 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 da. Right? It's very subtle. So that's a third up. Here's a third under. Not as effective in this case, right? But the third up there works. Let's try, let's find another spot. Right? I went da dee da 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 dee dum ba dee dum ba dee da da da. In context? Now, right, that's under. You know that it's not popping a third above an important note is also a really nice variation, right? That wasn't even a third necessarily. It was just a high pickup. But it can to pop up above can provide a really nice lift in a tune there.
Cool. Our friend Susan Spurlock says she's noticed players often play GE on the descending phrase at the end of the second measure instead of F sharp E.
So, whoa, with a G? Let's see. Oh, I know what you're talking about. This is a Josephine Marsh trick.
Yeah.
Josephine Marsh put that in her recording, and it's very groovy, right? And you hear it immediately. It's like very dark twist on the tune. It takes it out of the A major feel, like the it uses the, what is it? When you're in the F sharp minor section, it's a flat two. You know, it's a very spooky note, right? And that was in Josephine Marsh's recording. But I'd say that was her addition to the tune.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
all that Milton Malbay energy. Mark Butler
Yeah.
wants to know if there are any techniques that the extra beat of a slip jig particularly lends itself to.
Um, that the extra beat, so like the extra jiglet, is that what he's?
I think that
Yeah,
must be, yeah.
yeah. So you know what? That's a really interesting question, Mark.
You got two
The
minutes.
Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, I'll make it a quick, interesting answer. That slip jigs often have this dickety dickety dee, right? Like the last note being held to pull you back around. So in a way, it would be like the absence of fancy on that third beat. Duckety doodly ya, doodla doodly diddly duppity doodly ya. You know, that might be the way I would use that beat is to give it a little hold there.
Okay,
My
you got basically a minute left,
Okay,
and
okay.
um, people are starting to say thank you, so everybody's welcome. We
You're
don't,
all very
this is an
welcome.
Irish class. We should start with the whole "you're very welcome" thing, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. So that's definitely not how Americans use that. You're very welcome usually means you're welcome, but they say you are
Laurent
welcome
wants to
here.
know
You
what
are.
brand of strings you use.
I'll show you what I use because I have a set right here. This is what I use. I use GHS mediums. I like their medium sets because it has a 16 on the A string. Do you see that? 11, 16.
Instead of 15.
Yeah. It gives you a meatier, a beefier A string, which I think for Irish music, so much melodies on the A string, having that a little extra oomph on the A string makes a big difference to
All
me.
right, I am going to stop the recording now, just so that we end on
Okay.
time.
All right. Great.